Hi everyone, welcome to this new series of podcasts on Link Us. I'm so happy to be there, by the way. I'm going to make this following podcast on the Gilded Age, a new historical TV series broadcasted on HBO Max. I think it was broadcasted beginning of 2022. So we're just going basically to talk about. It was just a presentation of the Gilded Age. I will maybe do a presentation and episode by episode. This first season has only 9 episodes. And what I found very interesting is that it tackles so many things that are interested in both the American history, but also like problems that our society definitely face in different kind of series. So for me, it's really great to talk about it. So I would just speak about maybe a bit of the first episode. So for people who haven't seen the podcast, I'm going to write this down. There are some spoilers, so I don't want you to listen to that if you haven't watched entirely the first episode. Otherwise, I don't want to but I think I will just do the presentation, setting the historical context right now, and I will probably do like a podcast episode by episode. I think it's better. Okay? So the Gilded Age. So as the name is like highlighting this, so this historical TV series is going to talk about this period of the American history, which is the Gilded Age. Basically, we say that the Gilded Age is from like 1865 towards 1901. So it's really the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. It corresponds really to the Belle Epoque in France, and we'll say the Victorian era in England. So it was a period of economic prosperity because we had the first industrialization of America, and in Europe it was also the same, but it was also the gold rush in America. So you had all this young entrepreneur and family businesses were starting to flourish as people were discovering new ways. I'm going to talk also about the problems that has during this era, but we're going to focus on the positive side of things right now, and so that people like know a bit more about it. So it was definitely a period of restriction after the Civil War, which ended like in 1865, and then you had like all this industrialization. So you had like the creation of big enterprises like Carnegie Steel. It's like when you had the so successful entrepreneur, you had like Rockefeller, you had J.P. Morgan, you had Carnegie Steel, and for example, like during this huge economic like it was crazy as people were getting rich just like this. For example, Carnegie Steel Company was bought by JP Morgan for $480 million, which is absolutely crazy. So it was also the construction of railroads, so you have a lot of family businesses that flourish with that. And it was also like those companies are getting bigger and bigger. So of course we had some problems because as the salaries were getting higher and higher, you had also a problem with the fact that companies were getting bigger and bigger, and they didn't really reflect. We didn't have any like employment hours or contract or whatever, so it was really pushing salaries to work a lot of time. And it was also this kind of mentality that if you're poor, that's mean that you did something wrong, and it was this kind of prosperity. So we had like no protection or whatsoever of the other salaries. So for me, at the end of also the Gilded Age is when you had the period when basically a lot of employees, they were starting to kind of unionize themselves because they wanted to have basically more they wanted part also of the success, because the company that we called trust were getting bigger and bigger. It was just like impossible for the other employees to have as much money, even if the salaries were very good. When we compare basically the salary earned in America during like the Gilded Age, in England during the Victorian era, and in France Belle Epoque, we have obviously that the salary in America were definitely higher. It was also a period where we had kind of the end of the Gilded Age or middle, the massive arrival of immigrants. So first we had like Italians and Irish, and we had also at this period like um, Chinese also, and we had also African American people who were already there. So it was the end of the slavery. So some people, they basically families, and we're going to see this in the Gilded Age TV series, that they were freedom of basically their they were not slave anymore, so they were kind of free, and they began, to come in different part of the society. For example, a lot of them African American, they were becoming pharmacists, which is absolutely crazy to think about, because they were they were they were slaves, and then they kind of come up and they were becoming this successful pharmacist in drugs. And I think the kind of the period of transformation was absolutely crazy for them. So we had this people were coming the middle class. We have to understand also the Gilded Age was the period that we had this come up of the middle class. We had like lawyers, pharmacists, and doctors, and all this middle class coming and had the money. And African American were also part of it. As I was saying about the immigrants, we had also like a lot of ethnicity and diversity. So as I said, it was like Italian and then Irish, and then you had also Chinese coming. But the end of the Gilded Age was also a lot of problems with this immigration. We had like the Jim Crow laws, was basically segregating the space between colored people and white people. We had also the Chinese Exclusion Act, who was like basically banning Chinese from immigrating to the States. And a lot of, like when you talk really about the history and what happened, a lot of people said that, among the Irish and among the Italian coming, a lot of people were not happy about that. So we have to highlight that the Gilded Age was not only a period of, economic prosperity, was also a period of really difficulties from those minorities coming, and also a lot of segregation. Not only like space in a professional, but it was like kind of very separate. The Civil War had just ended, so slavery was like some years ago, so we cannot just erase everything. And basically what I want to say is that we can see this basically in the TV series drama. So I'm going basically to start with that, with the TV series drama, The Gilded Age. So we're following Marian. She just lost her father, who basically was ruined. So even I think she couldn't stay in the house of. So she's Marian. I think she's about 20 years old. So she was definitely born before this Gilded Age, but she come up in this age, and she just lost her father. And we had this lawyer following her, telling her that, well, your father only left you $30, which at the time was absolutely nothing. And it was some money, but it was not enough to live. And she has no prospect, she has whatsoever. So the lawyer said, oh, do you have family? And she has two aunts who are living in New York. So she's coming from her town, I think it's Massachusetts, I'm not really sure. And she's coming to see her aunt. On the way, she meets Peggy Scott, which is a young colored woman, a young black woman who is going also to New York. Her parents live in the Brooklyn, and we just understand from the encounter that she's very nice with her. She's helping her because someone like her purse was stolen by some thieves. So Peggy was very nice to her and helping her. And yes, we understand that. Yeah, she was basically, you had like those thirst train for, yeah, we had also the separation, of course, of class, which is kind of crazy to think about us, because I think nowadays it's a bit like anthropized, like we don't know really, we don't have, I don't think a lot of countries have first class and second class, but before it was like first class citizen and second class citizen. So she's traveling in the second class and she arrived to New York. Basically she's going to meet her aunt. So one of her aunt, and Agnes, she is part of the old New York. So we understand that in the Gilded Age, you had the old New York and you had the new New York. So the old, or basically the first American immigrants who arrived in America by the Mayflowers. And I think she married this wealthy man who was also very, very hard to live with. And she's in this mansion in the sort of avenue, who's I think equal to the Fifth Avenue right now. And she welcomed Marian, but we can see that she's very tough. She's very realistic about her situation. She didn't like Marian's father because he was not like, he didn't have the role. He was the eldest of the family, but he kind of ruined the family, and she had to step up and married this rich person so that they could have something to live with. So she doesn't like Marian's father, and sometimes there's like kind of bump each other, like they disagree on many things. And we have this another aunt, which is what we call a spinster, which is like a woman who has never married, and she doesn't have any kids or whatsoever, and she's living with her sister in the same beautiful house in somewhat the Fifth Avenue of right now. And Marian is arriving there, and she understands. I mean, Aunt Agnes is basically telling her that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because you have no fortune, you have no prospects, so nobody's waiting for you. You have to present yourself very well to the society so that you can find a good husband, a wealthy husband. And we kind of seeing the same thing that we saw before, that I talked before with all these Jane Austen novels and series, the fact that like, are you going to marry for love, or are you going to marry for happiness? Always the same kind of dilemma. And we understand that Aunt Agnes, even if sometimes she has quotes who say that, she's saying that, oh yeah, me, I do not really care, like prospects are the most important, being happy of course, but like having a husband who's protecting you. So of course she values money or the love. And I think we can see that dichotomy, this kind of ambiguity between those two sisters. You have Aunt Agnes, who's very realistic, and she did the choice to marry for money because she wanted to be secure. And the other spinster, Aunt Ada, who is like more like on love, and it's very important to be happy and whatsoever. And we can see both their different kind of future and how they turn up. So I'm just not going to talk about this dilemma. Of course, today, if I have to make a kind of analogy with today, of course, we're living in a society where marriage for love is very important, and this kind of arranged marriage or marrying for money is something that was not in people's mind, and people kind of rejected. But we have to understand the situation of before. Women couldn't, we can see, and I'm going to it, this is a beautiful transition with the another character, Peggy Scott, who arrived with Marian, and she somewhat like gets hired by Aunt Agnes to become her secretary because she's very educated, and she actually comes from a very rich family, a very middle class high family. That's why this is a spoiler. Please shut this up if you don't want. But she's very educated, and she arrived basically in this. In this family, and she's the secretary of Aunt Agnes. But she's as I said, she represents the woman who wants to free herself from her condition. She wants to work. and we will see towards all the Gilded Age TV series that sometimes she butt heads with her family because she wants to follow her own path. She wants to be independent. She knows that she has quality, she has a talent, and she wants to exploit it. And sometimes we can see the relation between Peggy Scott and Marian Brooke, by saying that, oh, it's very complicated for her because Marian, she doesn't, as she said, she doesn't have any prospects, she doesn't have any thing, she doesn't have any talent value for, and sometimes she's kind of envy Peggy because Peggy has a talent, she wants to be independent and stuff, and but she's really also realistic of her condition as a colored woman at the time. We'd had also other characters. So as I said, Aunt Agnes, she's part of the old New York, and we're going to see that she's going to have new neighbors. They are part definitely of the new New York. So it's a couple with 2 children of the Russells, and they're basically going. So the father is very well in business. He's people are just like comparing him with Jay Gould, which was a very successful entrepreneur during the Gilded Age, but he has also a lot of controversy because the way he was, making money was very questionable. So they follow basically. He seems like Jay Gould, and he is very successful. He invested in several companies, in railroad companies, and he there become very rich. So with his wife, they are. I think I really like the dynamic of this couple because they both, as she said, work for that, and they trust each other. There's a kind of complicity that we rarely see in those couples before. We thought that all those couples was kind of arranged, but we understand that they are love between each other, and that keeps them going. And we're going to see towards towards the TV series that they're very count on each other, and I think they were very kind of romantic and really like the couple. They have 2 children. They have one boy who wants to become. We don't know yet what he wants to become, but he's a Harvard grade student, and they have also a daughter, whom the mother is basically protected a lot because she basically wants her daughter to be to marry a good prospect. Basically, it's the only thing that a woman of her class can expect to, because they don't want to have to work, and her family is obviously very rich. And then we have other characters. We have the parents of Peggy who are going to write also in the TV series. We have the son of Agnes. We have other types of people coming into this prospect, and I think that will be very interesting. It's basically what I wanted to talk about during this Gilded Age TV series first podcast. I think I'm going to make another podcast with the first episode. I hope you guys will be able to watch it, and of course, if you like the podcast, you can put a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel. See you.